Our deepest sympathies go out to all those affected by Cyclone Freddy. Natural disasters such as this strike suddenly from out of nowhere, taking the lives of many and tearing families apart. From the faraway island nation of Japan, I would like to send a message to the many people who have been affected by the disaster and to the many people who are working hard to cope with the ever-expanding damage. In the past, I worked for a Japanese nonprofit organization that delivered information on security and disaster prevention to mobile devices in a timely manner. I was engaged in the distribution of information to people living in evacuation shelters after the nuclear disaster. Japan is a country prone to natural disasters. Even in the city where I live, floods, landslides, earthquakes, and snow damage occur frequently, and I have been involved in some way in each of these disasters since leaving the NPO. However, we have only made a small donation for disasters that occur in Japan and abroad. We did not pay much attention to the unprecedented earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria on February 6, 2023. This is because Japanese people felt that the scale of the earthquake was not so large as to cause serious damage in inland areas. In Japan, there are many natural disasters such as earthquakes and typhoons, and landslides are one of them. A landslide is a phenomenon in which the slope of a mountain or cliff collapses, and is considered a type of landslide. When a landslide occurs, it can cause serious damage to human life and property. However, the reality was very different. We have received tremendous support from overseas in the past natural disasters that have occurred in Japan. In particular, after the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. We received many words of support and encouragement from all over the world. At that time, we were extremely grateful for the support we received from people overseas. Since then, Japan has faced many natural disasters, including floods, landslides, earthquakes, and typhoons. In response to these disasters, we have received a great deal of support from both within Japan and from overseas. Each time, I am sincerely grateful for the warm support from people overseas. I myself have experienced many times that there is nothing more gratifying than hearing voices of encouragement in times of distress. Therefore, I have been sending daily messages in Turkish, Arabic, and English to people in Turkey and Syria and other nationalities living there. We hope that we can help the hearts of those who have been affected by the disaster, even if only a little. Such activities have naturally brought my attention to other disasters as well. However, there is nothing I can do other than distributing videos. I do not know what message to send to the many people affected by Cyclone Freddy and to the many people who are working hard to cope with the ever-expanding damage. Therefore, I would like to share with you a reflection on the incomprehensible unity and energy of the Japanese people that is demonstrated when faced with difficulties. Japan is a country prone to natural disasters and has faced many of them. However, each time this has happened, the Japanese people have united and worked together as one to support the disaster-stricken areas. This is probably due to the value of kyosuke, mutual aid, which is rooted in Japanese culture. Mutual aid is the concept of developing a society by cooperating and supporting each other. And this value has enabled the Japanese people to demonstrate a strong sense of cohesion in the face of difficulties. In addition, local communities are closely connected in Japan, with a high awareness of local disaster preparedness. Local residents take action on their own in the event of a disaster, gathering information and setting up evacuation centers, rather than waiting for local or national government assistance. This type of local disaster preparedness has led to Japan's enhanced ability to cope with natural disasters. These cultural backgrounds enable the Japanese to demonstrate an incomprehensible unity and energy of action in the face of difficulties. In response to the recent Cyclone Freddy disaster, we have received a great deal of support from both within Japan and from overseas. What we can do for the victims of the disaster is to expand our circle of support. We have also received warm support from many people when Japan was hit by the disaster. When a disaster like this occurs, it is important for us, as Japanese people, to be there for the victims and provide as much support as possible. Furthermore, in Japan, the government, private companies, and the general public cooperate in relief efforts in times of disaster. In particular, many companies contribute to the recovery of disaster-stricken areas by providing relief supplies and personnel. For example, after the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, many companies donated money and relief supplies to help the victims rebuild their lives. Furthermore, recently, support activities utilizing the internet and social networking services have been expanding. For example, through the dissemination of information from people in the affected areas, it has become possible to deliver exactly the support needed. Also, through crowdfunding sites, people can raise funds for relief efforts. These new support methods have enabled more people to participate in relief efforts and support disaster victims. However, there are still challenges to disaster relief. For example, during a disaster, there may be a shortage of relief supplies and personnel to reach the affected areas. In addition, some relief supplies may not be appropriate for the current situation in the affected area. In order to solve these challenges, more efficient relief activities are required. As described above, the Japanese people's ability to unite and act in the face of difficulties is something that is attracting worldwide attention. Finally, there is not much local information reaching Japan. The information reported in Japanese is very limited. I am sure that there are many people from all over the world who have come to help in ways that I do not fully understand. I can only imagine the severe situation in which the relief efforts are being carried out. In disaster relief, we must never allow tragedy to befall the people we are helping. I hope that you will be able to fulfill your mission and return to your families as soon as possible. And to those who were affected by Cyclone Freddy, the lost days will never come back in a perfect form. There is no other way but to change our mindset and move forward to a new future. I hope that normal days will come back to you as soon as possible. Japanese Makoto Ogawa.